Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to the Toronto Raptors 110-102 victory against the Philadelphia 76ers in Game 4 of this series. Ryker, we're now only down 3-1 to this team. People were writing us off. People were bringing out the broomsticks, calling for a sweep, and we had a dominant, convincing, wire-to-wire victory. I don't know if it's officially wire-to-wire, but we kept the momentum the entire game. How are you feeling about this W in Toronto versus Philadelphia?
And my dog is over here in the corner chewing loudly on his food because he and eyes peeled on this game, couldn't look away. The energy was there. They executed basically the same game plan with a few minor tweaks, including Fred VanVleet before he went out wasn't doing as much one-on-one with Tyrese Maxey, right? Thaddeus Young, Boucher, Achua, they decided to have the games of their lives playing high-level IQ basketball. Pascal Siakam basically took the same shots, but was a lot more assertive. So This game, everything went right for the Raptors. They should be taking a lot of confidence going into the road game on Monday to keep the momentum. Well, I said the momentum, but to keep this series alive, Ben.
Yeah, well, get the momentum going. You need a couple games to really get that ball rolling, get the juice rocking. But you said everything went right for the Toronto Raptors, and I'd argue it didn't. We shot 23% from the three-point line, only 42% from the field. Didn't have a huge scoring outing, right? We had OG have his worst game of the series, right? Siakam wasn't making the shots down late, but there's a lot of things that the Raptors can improve on. Precious Achiuwa only started shaking and baking people in the last quarter of the game. So there's a lot of things we can improve on, a lot of things so we can get happening. And we said it from the jump of last podcast. No matter what, what praise we give to the Philadelphia 76ers, no matter what we said, Raps in 7. It's what we're saying. History will be made. Nick Nurse has spoke on it, and you know what? Now's the time to bet on it, folks. And this video, we've been happy and lucky enough to partner with BetStamp to get you guys the best betting odds for anything you want to bet on this postseason, whether it be NBA, I know NHL playoffs are coming up, any sport that you're interested in, because, Ryker, when you're betting, you want those best odds. You want the maximum cash out possible. And BetStamp is your go-to place to find those betting odds because it goes through all the sports books and you look up your bet and then you can find which book gives you the best odds there. And if you guys use the promo code Raptors, go into the BetStamp app, use the promo code Raptors, right? You get access to all these books with a bunch of huge promos, a bunch of deals, stuff happening. So definitely check out the BetStamp app. It's in the description below. It's going to be in the pinned comment. Ryker, are you betting on the Toronto Raptors winning this thing in 7 right now?
No, you got to chill. We're going to jinx it. If there's any team they could come back, dig themselves out of this hole against, we determined it'd be the Philadelphia 76ers. Daryl Morey coming in from Houston. History of blowing leads over there. Ben Simmons in that drama this season. That looked like an L for them on the return, getting James Harden back. The trust the process since 2014, losing to Kawhi Leonard in 2019 on the shot. These guys, they're built to blow leads. So we should carry the confidence in. I don't want to say they're definitely coming back because it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a hostile environment, Ben. You saw how pushy, chippy it got. All the tees being blown, all the arms and elbows being thrown in this one. Got the dog going behind me too. The excitement is high. But Ben, the reason the Raptors were able to have wire-to-wire, like you said, a couple things maybe didn't go right, but the things that did was what the Raptors are good at. Offensive rebounds, I think 13 on this game. Causing turnovers, 15 on this game. How does the defense able to impose their will on Joel Embiid after he dominated them for the first 2 games?
We brought the energy. We had the length out there on the court. Scottie Barnes was back, which is another versatile defender in there on the, running around the perimeter. And Ryker, we were able to contain dribble penetration this entire series, whether it was Tyrese Maxey, James Harden. And a part of that, there's been criticism thrown to Fred VanVleet. He's going to be a huge topic of discussion because he went down with an injury in this one, right? Clearly our all-star, top whatever you want to place him on this Toronto Raptors team throughout the regular season. We will not be taking hate about Fred VanVleet on this podcast, in the chats, in the comments. However, it will be noted he has been hobbled this series just in terms of his lateral quickness, not being able to stay in front. of a Maxey, of Harden when he's going right. And I thought Nick Nurse at the start of this game made some solid adjustments, throwing Fred onto Danny Green, who obviously isn't going to beat you off the dribble, and then using him to sort of his asset as on the defensive end. He didn't have any steals in this one, but I thought he kind of had a few tips and stuff before the game went down. So I thought that was a really nice adjustment. But then when Fred VanVleet was taken out of the court, that sort of, I don't want to call him a liability because he's traditionally a phenomenal defender, but the hobbled Fred was taken out of the game, and this is what Masai Ujiri envisioned with that 6'9" giant lineups running around, and we were running different lineups that were all just long, 7-foot wingspan, 6'9" height guys, with the exception of maybe Gary Trent Jr. out there on the court, deflecting passes, right? Because we're front in the post, Thaddeus Young, we got to talk about this guy, front in the post, but then we have so much length on those entry passes, they're not able to throw them, they get tipped. These cross-court things, in order for them to get through, they all have to be lobs, and from the difference in a lob pass getting thrown cross-court versus, one of those bullet passes, it makes all the difference in playoff basketball with the closeouts being on time, be able to contest, and we saw that defense have a serious impact on Philadelphia tonight.
Yeah, Ben, and I think your point is Fred VanVleet, he's an anchor on this team. We've supported him all season long. He's getting lots of money. He's considered the number 1 or 2 option on this team, deserves it all. Yep. But in this particular series, tonight after he went down with that injury, and well, it didn't go down, when he walked off the court with that injury and didn't return, the Raptors absolutely looked better out there. But we don't want to write him off for the same reason that everybody was saying trade Siakam after last game. Then he comes out before we talk about Thaddeus Young. Pascal Siakam was really the star of this one. 34 points, 52% from the field, took almost every single shot in the fourth quarter, right? And this is a game after everybody's saying, no, he sucks, he's the worst, he can't get it done, he's not the number 1 option, right? Everybody's allowed to have a bad game. Comes back, really overperformed in this one, Ben.
Overperformed. This is exactly what we want out of Pascal Siakam. We got a super chat coming in from Bueno Kitty saying, #BelieveBen Raps and 7. Drop a spinny P in the like section. Drop those spinny P, folks. We got a few Sixers fans coming in. This crazy gaming YouTube's been in the chats the last little while trying to throw his hate. We coming for the Sixers. Pascal Siakam looked like the spicy P of the regular season tonight, and I thought he played well in game 1 of this series, obviously struggled in games 2 and 3, but tonight, as you mentioned, was just feasting on whatever matchup he wanted to, and still the shots don't look that easy, right? The middies, we saw them go cold down late, but when he's got his momentum rolling, when he's focused on attacking the rim, playing just an aggressive style of basketball, this is what he can do on any given night, right? And we saw Gary sort of take the load as that second sort of additional scorer there. But when the ball was swung to Siakam and then he got the right matchup on him, he was taking advantage with, driving the lane, using his strength, those turnarounds, those 5-foot jumpers, right? That's what we want to see out of Siakam. Whether they're going in or not, it makes our offense that much more dynamic because the Sixers just have to help the entire time. And then, obviously the fourth quarter was kind of an ISO show for Spicy P, and we could talk about how that could play going forward, but I thought through most of this game, the ball was moving, Siakam be making those drives, the defense would collapse, and then we were hitting our open shooters. The threes weren't really going down for us tonight, and that's something that will probably even out as the series goes along, so that's something I'm encouraged by, but Siakam was just absolutely elite tonight. As you said, 34 points, 8 rebounds, and the 5 assists, and I don't think he made a pass in the fourth quarter. So that goes to show the level of playmaking he was doing throughout those first 3 quarters.
1 pass to OG, and I think he hit his only 3 of the game. But Ben, outside of that, definitely the ISO show, right way to explain it. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing, important game, obviously important just because the Raptors lose or get kicked out or win or get kicked out of the playoffs, but important because why did Danny Green and George Niang and even Tobias Harris have success in those first couple games? Because we're triple teaming Joel Embiid. They're not given that same respect on the whistle or on the defensive end to Pascal Siakam. So now you're seeing him attack. They're having to come in, send that second body. Now we're going to get that ball movement that you talked about. So see guys like Gary Trent Jr., Scottie Barnes, Precious Achiuwa, Chris Boucher, right? A lot of guys that kind of stand there in those corner spots, take more shots next game. I don't think Pascal Siakam is going to come back and score another 34 because they're going to collapse sooner. And I bet you we're going to see a lot more threes made next game. So that's why it's exciting. I think this could be the turning point of the series, that we can get back to playing Raptors basketball. But the one thing I hope stays the exact same, we've waited long enough, Thaddeus Young's performance. Thad and Boucher, man, go off. How clean was that?
My goodness. Thaddeus Young, I'm hoping for Nick Nurse's sake that he wasn't playing him that many minutes because of the thumb injury, because you and I were kind of confused why he was getting like 5 and 6 minutes per game. But this is why you trade for Thaddeus Young. The level of IQ that this guy has out there on the court. Fred VanVleet went down, and Thaddeus Young essentially became our point guard for that entire fourth quarter. It was absolutely ridiculous. Or second half. Siakam more so had the ball in the fourth quarter, but that second half where Thad was just throwing dime after dime. Chris Boucher making gorgeous back cuts, gorgeous catches as well, dunking things right away. And that, he doesn't go for the thing that's immediate. He can play fast, but just always in absolute control of himself. 13 points for him tonight, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, a block, got a couple of ridiculous steals, right? Read the Sixers like a book, right? Reading them like a book. It was gorgeous to see. And we got a super chat coming in from Shaw Rena, the classic Siakam hater in the chat, saying Siakam is not good in the playoffs for $40 million. I'd pay $40 million for 34, 8, and 5. Get out of there with these random takes. He also won us a championship too, so not taking no hate for Siakam tonight. But we're on the Thaddeus Young praise wagon. What do you got to say about this? And
you might as well play the Achua proper, the precious propaganda while you're at it, because you can't talk about one without the other, Ben. And it's hard to talk about either without talking about their 2 big dribbling plays, which of course we're gonna have to save till the segment. So is it worth just sounding off on the spicy Pele at least while we're on the topic of these guys? Because man, oh man, Ben, I'll say Precious Achua's, you say Thad Young's. They're both some of the most insane height plays, dribble moves you don't expect. So the spicy Pele of the day in this one, Ben, Achua on Danny Green, known as a defender with the left hand, the in and out, the Ben Rogers special, just shaking bacon clean, open to the rim, finishing it, and had the announcers speechless, fans up in arms. But Thad Young might have even topped them with a play, Ben. Sound off as well.
Yeah, well, the Thaddeus Young, to keep on the precious propaganda, because I'm never going to pass up a precious propaganda. He also had a play where Siakam was in the fourth quarter. Obviously, he was getting double and stuff, and the Sixers play good defense at possession. Thaddeus Young, or Precious Achiuwa on kind of a broken possession, goes in, jumps high in the air. It was kind of 2 hands up, but it reminded me of that Michael Jordan sort of there and then up. Right, he came up with 2 hands, double clutch underneath the rim, finishing on the other side over Joel Embiid. That's what you want to see from old Precious Achiuwa. You love to see that, but Ryker, the true spicy Pele of the day, Thaddeus Young coming out, channeling his inner Sixer Allen Iverson, looking at Joel Embiid saying, who's this guy? He can't guard me. Did a little shake and bake. Joel Embiid falls to the floor, splashes the shot in his face, and not only that, sooky old Joel Embiid came back down on the other side and gave him a shove. The refs didn't see it. Joel Embiid is a fraud. Joel Embiid is not the MVP. I'm roasting this man. If channel members are in the chat, throw out the crying Embiid memes. This guy is trash. I don't know. We're roasting. I'm getting on the Joel Embiid hate wagon right now. Just for this series.
That's tough.
Other than this series, I'm out here. But that was a big W. You got another super chat. More Siakam trash, averaging 5 fouls in the playoffs. You know what? You got 5 fouls, use them. Average it, Siakam. Stop hating.
You got 5 fouls, use them, Ben. Use them. How concerned are you, before we, I guess, properly swing it into the segments, with Fred VanVleet's injury now going forward? We said that the lineup, of course, looked better. We have the return of Scottie Barnes, who, man, some actual treasure, some actual hardware. We've been giving out a certain award, and our man's got...
Get the drum roll going, because on a day,
I'll get the drum roll going.
Double it up, right? We're getting that drum roll going, because tonight, the Scottie Barnes Award. What is he, an 80-time Scottie Barnes Award winner now? finally got another piece of hardware to add to, what did you call it? The trophy shelf or something? The treasure shelf.
The treasure shelf.
To add it to the treasure shelf, the Rookie of the Year, Scottie Barnes, was back in this game, and it's going to the only player in NBA history to ever win Rookie of the Year in the year 2022. So that's just crazy out here. We got the crying Embiid memes out here in the chat. I absolutely love it. But what did you see from Scottie Barnes in this one tonight? Because not the greatest sort of field goal percentage, if that makes sense. 1 for 6. Shot a lot of threes. But I thought his impact on the game, speeding it up. Only 2 assists, had 10 rebounds, 6 points. But the way we just play so much faster, his energy, it is felt out there in millions. And once he shakes the rust off a little bit, the Sixers are in trouble, man.
Yeah, well, it's not really rust. It's a proper injury, right?
Yeah,
his ankle rolled all the way in, and of course he banged it up a little bit too on kind of one possession. So I'm not sure how severe it is. Hopefully even more rest now tomorrow going into Monday, but everything you said rings true, right? Just having this guy out there, being the two-way player he is, speeding up the game, and then having such a big lineup with a bunch of ball handlers, a bunch of switchable guys that can all guard out the three, special.
We got a super chat coming in from Tom M. saying, I hereby dub Joel Embiid Thumbelina. I can't even read right now. Old Thumbelina, right? Every time he goes down, he's holding that thumb. Thaddeus Young out there just swatting shots, not worried about his fractured thumb. Joel Embiid's always making a show of his. We don't want anyone injured on anything. We're going to beat the Sixers regardless of health, what's happening. Raps in 7, it's what's happening, especially with Scottie Barnes back in the lineup. And Ryker, you brought up the Fred VanVleet sort of ordeal, right? The injury that he went down with. And obviously, for as much as people are going to be talking about it, we know what the narratives are going to be. Oh, the Raptors are better without Fred. Fred is trash. He slows down the game. And I do think he slows down the game. That's definitely true. And I do think his defense has been not up to his usual standards in these playoffs, just because, he's dealing with this knee issue. He's going up against one of the fastest guards in the league. But you want Fred VanVleet's just presence out there on the court. So it's definitely a negative that we've lost him. But with Scottie Barnes coming back, with him in the lineup, I am elated to see what's going to happen with Scottie Barnes in this massive, what is it? What were we calling this? The 6'9" lineup, this gigantic lineup with Scottie Barnes at point guard, Gary at the 2, OG, Siakam, and probably Thad or Precious or Kem starting.
Yeah. It'll be unleashed, right? We saw it for most of this game, so you kind of know what to expect. I wouldn't put it past Fred mending that hip and rolling it out and stretching it out with the exercise staff and coming back for Monday, but it's a different lineup, right? It's a different style of play, and you can really neutralize guys like James Harden and Tyrese Maxey because their bigs are just way taller, way longer than them, but they can still keep up with them, right? And they're keeping up, staying in front better than Fred VanVleet was. So that's what's nice about this team. But again, very hostile environment in Philadelphia. So I think it's going to be a tough game, and the refs, the whistle, it's obviously going to go back in the favor of Philadelphia. We had a lot of good calls on the Raptors' behalf in this one, so they can't go in expecting the same kind of benefit from the officiating. So that's going to be the challenge in next game, Ben. But we got a lot of interesting plays to dive into in this one. Let's bring it into the segment, shall we? Yeah, and we also got a super chat coming in from the legend Paul Blunt saying sweep. I don't think so. No chance sweeps are happening out here in Toronto. Not when you have the Rookie of the Year back in the lineup. A healthy Starboy who, we did say we'll swing into the segments, but Gary had 24 points in this one, was splashing shots, hitting his free throws, getting steals. This is what we want to see. A fully lack of food poisoned Gary Trent Jr. because no one on the Sixers can handle that guy. So that's what we love to see there. But as you said, we already talked about the spicy Pilays of the day. We missed a few with just what Siakam was doing out there in the fourth quarter, driving to the rim, getting all that stuff rocking. But nothing's topping Thaddeus Young crossing up Embiid and Precious Achiuwa. Those shake and bake in and outs, but all plays can be the spicy Pilay of the day, and some just make you say, oh, geez. And tonight, the oh, geez play of the day. Ryker, though there's a couple, right? Scottie Barnes stepping on James Harden, Paul Reed, someone's foot.
right quickly. It was accidental there at that point. He went down. My heart dropped, right? Obviously, we saw what happened with Kevin Durant coming back early from an injury, but thankfully that was all good. That made me overtly say, oh, geez, right? But I don't know if it's Golden Kazoos, if we're getting things overlapping, but Joel Embiid, James Harden, and you said we got some favorable calls. Tonight, I felt like it was a fair whistle because there was still some nonsense going on with Embiid and Harden and all that stuff on that end, but we were getting some calls on our side as well. But Harden jumping, doing the old Reggie Miller, sticking the leg out and getting a 3 foul call there on Thaddeus Young. Joel Embiid, literally no one around him, throwing himself to the ground on every possession. Matt Devlin at one point said, and he prefaced it because, Matty D is represents the Raptors well. He's the voice of the Raptors. Can't be too... Jack Armstrong usually gets more colorful with his opinions and his takes. Matt Devlin rarely sort of trashes bags on other teams' players. So he prefaced it, Joel Embiid, obviously MVP candidate, great player, all that sort of stuff. But for a 300-pound man, I've never seen a guy on the court, on his bottom there on the court, much more than him. And it's infuriating to watch.
Yeah, well, if you didn't mention it, I was going to, because it was funny the way he dressed up that commentary. Great player, MVP guy. Spends so much time on the floor, but great player, though. Nothing against him, but my God, obviously hinting at Embiid flopping. And I think that this really shone a light on the amount of embellishing that he does for a big man. And yeah, we have 6'8", 6'9" guys. Yeah, they can't challenge him at the rim, right? If he gets that deep post position, he's bigger than them, he's more physical than them. But right, when he gets that ball at the high post and we have good position, he's just throwing his body reckless. His arms are flailing, everything. He's flopping, he's going to the ground. And that first 2 games in the series, I had to shut it off in the first half of game 2 because they were getting whistles that clearly weren't fouls, right? This game, to me, when you have a big man that plays like that, you find a way to neutralize them by doing their work early. And that's Raptors style basketball. That's why we won the regular season series against them. So I'm glad Matty D pointed it out. He had the courage to do it on live broadcast then. I had the same OGs as you. We'll probably have the same Golden Kazoo. Let's play at the now infamous.
Well, we got a super chat. We got a super chat coming in from Bueno Kitty saying, please trade Pascal. He's making the haters look stupid. Bueno Kitty's out here looking out for all the Spicy P haters, trying to salvage their ego a little bit, get rid of Pascal. Well, you know what, Bueno Kitty, let the haters hate and let us keep getting those W's. That's what we want to see. But as you said, the one, the only, the infamous, becoming infamous, I think it's officially infamous, the Paul Pierce Golden Kazoo, apparently playing the kazoo backwards, but you know what? That's just what Paul Pierce does. And we honestly, going into this podcast, there's so much going on, so many narratives in this game. I want to give the Joel Embiid rant for the Golden Kazoo, but I guess it could overlap the OGs. But the end of the game of this one, Riker, there's like minute 30 left. This is still a 10-point game. This is kind of close. A couple threes go down, and then 30 seconds left. You're only up by 4. It could be a 1-possession game. Yada yada yada. Delano Banton's out there slipping on the court a couple times.
He's slipping and sliding out there, man.
Malachi Flynn, he kind of calmed everyone down and all that sort of stuff, but that was probably the most nervous I've been at the end of a game in this series. Not Joel Embiid's shot. That last minute and a half there.
My theory is, for all the points that I mentioned earlier in this podcast, the Ben Simmons saga, the shot against Kawhi Leonard, trust the process, bringing in Daryl Morey, the disappointment with James Harden, if you may. Philadelphia, they have a lot more to prove in this series, and I think they want to win at home. It felt to me like they tried to give up at the end, right? And I think you almost felt the same too. It's like it was a pretty close game, but they had no indication that they were going to put their good guys out to try and win that one. So I don't know. For me, the Golden Kazoo, though, Ben, was all the pushing and shoving, calling a timeout and just body checking, right? Getting in a little scuffle with OG. There was some weirdness. Like his Embiid's petty side really came out in this one. He's a real petty, salty guy, just like Kevin Durant. And it was on full display in this game, Ben.
Yeah. And That's huge for the Toronto Raptors because that's what we did to him in 2019. And we had Marc Gasol, who was the Embiid stopper, right? Absolutely elite on defense. We schemed for him well, but Marc Gasol just did a phenomenal job on him. Chef's kiss defense, the hands up, Embiid flop, and Marc Gasol would bite on every pump fake, which bewildered you and I. But other than that, anytime he entered the paint, it was a W there for Marc Gasol. But Joel Embiid, as you said, was very petty, was very just mad at Raptors players, at refs, at Drake, at the fans doing the airplane thing, and he was horrific that series. Like, he was brutal. People bring up, he almost took it to 7. It was Jimmy Butler and JJ Redick who saved that series. That's not Joel Embiid. That's not Ben Simmons, right? So that's in the past, though. And I thought tonight, even though Joel Embiid still had a solid game in this one, hit some difficult shots at points, right? But 7 of 16 from the field, settled for some tough ones at some points, turned over the ball, 5 turnovers in this game, was going at fouls. We were in his head at this point. He was yelling at referees once again. He clapped at the refs. People are saying, take your own advice, Joel. Stop complaining about fouls when things are going somewhat evenly. You're getting cleanly blocked by Precious and Thad, and you're out there sooking and balling. Throw more crying emojis in there, channel members, because I want to see those crying Joels in the chats right now, Riker.
The crying Joels, I'm very, very worried about this next game, just again, it being back in Philadelphia. But if the Raptors manage to pull this one out, the momentum, the energy, the passion from the fans coming back to Toronto, right? It's going to be hard to beat the Raptors. So they got to look forward to next game. They got to lock it down, play the exact same style, right? They've played great over the last 2 games. Make it 3. Ben, it's time to get off the rails. Let's bring it into the final alarm, shall we?
Yeah, let's get it rocking. Woo, 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 woo. That's right. The final alarm has sounded. We want to hear what you guys have to say about this game. Your thoughts. Get everything rocking. We got 356 people in here. Let's get that like spike rocking in honor of the Raptors W. Right, I'm seeing some crying emojis from Paul Blunt, William Chan. I love to see that. We got Dylan Morton coming in saying delusional Raptors fans, clean fouls. Cry your eyes out. Kawhi me a river. Joel Embiid can't do nothing without no referees backing him. So that is what it is. But we got the we use going. But now his thumb is too sore for him to suck on. What's he gonna do, says Tom M. I love the roast out here right now. We want all the smoke with the Philadelphia 76ers. I've been watching Riker. Obviously, I played a little bit PC the last couple of podcasts, but I've been watching other YouTube channels. Run It Back Philly. We've been kind of going back and forth with him over the regular season. They're trashing us over there. So you know what? Sixers are trash. They're garbage. And I got a bet going too where I post an Instagram photo if we lose this series. So we gotta get this W, Riker.
We gotta get the W, Ben. There's some noise in the hallway here. This is a hectic game. Hectic post-game reaction, Ben, but
yeah.
The enthusiasm, it can't be kept, right? You said it. If there's any series we're going to come back from and make history, it's this one. And we're 1 game closer to that now. Thank God we didn't get swept. That would have been way too embarrassing. But now, like you said, the fashion that they won, there should be confidence going into the next game.
Should be. There is. And Race Mode Daily's coming in saying, why not us? Why not us, Riker? We are going to make history. Because you know what? I don't know. There's numbers. I'm an analytics guy. I'm a CS computer science dude. But what are the numbers on teams coached by Doc Rivers? Being up 3-1. What are those numbers, folks?
What are the numbers?
What are the numbers? Let us know those numbers, those odds out there. What are the odds on those James Harden up 3-1 in a series? Let us know in the comment section below, because those are the numbers we want to see. That Joel Embozo, right? Take this guy out, right? Knock him out. Game 7. That's what we want to see. But what about us? What about us? Why not us? That's what's happening. But still no ring. Still no ring. Still no ring. That's what we got to say about the Philadelphia 76ers there. No ring on any of those guys' fingers, right? Pascal Siakam.
Danny Green. Shut up.
Hey. He got it up north of the border, right? He's not a Sixer. He's a Raptor for life. That is what it is. But yeah. Jodine, I apologize if I'm messing up your name, but saying, watch out for Monday's game. What about Embiid and the refs going to do to the Raptors? I just hope they don't injure our guys again. That's, because that was an effective strategy for them. Take out Scottie, take out Thaddeus. Give Gary Trent Jr. probably some poor food before the game started, right? That was an effective strategy for Philadelphia. Hopefully that doesn't happen again.
Absolutely. Right? That we've seen now when there's more parity on the whistle or when the advantage is more towards the Raptors have a much better shot. When it's blatantly in favor of the 76ers, we're losing by 20 points. So the referees do dictate a substantial amount of the outcome of the game. So let's hope that they're not being paid off under the table in Philadelphia, because the Raptors want a shot at making this a 7-game series.
Yep, no, for sure. Jared saying Danny was definitely a Raptor today. Shout out to him, missing all those wide open threes. And
there was one really wide open corner three that was bad.
That was well, you know what? We experienced that in the playoffs as well. So don't stress it.
Everybody's experienced it in real life. You need a bit of defensive presence in order to take the pressure off. When you're too wide open, you get in your own head.
No, for sure. So that's what's happened. Unless you're Georges Niang, who I don't think he's ever missed a shot in his life, which hurts my soul. But I don't think he's ever played defense without fouling. So it's a two-way street there. I love the Raptors just going at him and attacking there. And people are asking, what would Kawhi do in this situation? Riker, what would Kawhi do in this situation?
Win the series. That's what he would do.
And you know what? Scottie Barnes, make history. Do it while winning Rookie of the Year. So. Absolutely.
Kawhi was never Rookie of the Year, so.
Kawhi's a fraud. Scottie's the GOAT. But but we got a Mogwai for sale, saying Maxey has been a non-factor too. People are acting like this kid was God after a single game. Maxey's been good this series. First 3 games, he's been ridiculous. Tonight had 11 points, 4 of 12. Gary Trent Jr. on Maxey, though, is a way better matchup than Fred VanVleet there.
Yeah, and that's the point we brought up at the beginning of this game. Scottie, OG, Gary Trent Jr., all better matchups, right? You minimize the danger of his length, right? Tyrese Maxey being much bigger guard than Fred VanVleet, and all these guys just frankly seem to be quicker and more mobile than Fred VanVleet, and a lot of that is because of the knee and the hip injury. So it's not a slight on Fred VanVleet. You need to be healthy and top performance, especially when coach is asking you to play 39, 40 minutes a game. So Fred, maybe it's best for him to rest the next one. Let's run with that squad in that fourth quarter that just got the job done. Yeah,
well, is clearly we're discussing the Fred VanVleet of this series. Hobbled, not looking like Fred himself. Right, people might mistake our takes or whatever for Fred VanVleet all-star ready to go. That's not what we're talking about, right? But would you be worried if Fred VanVleet was, came his way back and he's even more sort of slower and injured going into game 5, and then Nick Nurse, obviously, because Fred is our leader. Fred is our point guard. He's this, he's that. But if he's sort of out there with even a slower step, I don't know if it's the play to at least start him. Bring him off the bench. Do what you sort of did with Scottie tonight. Start Scottie, bring Fred off the bench, and let him sort of run against Shake Milton and Danny Green and those guys.
Yeah, maybe off the bench. But Ben, here's the thing, right? If you go on to the next series, it'd be against the winner of Miami and Atlanta, right? I could see that being a series where Fred VanVleet, his style of play, guarding against Kyle Lowry or Trae Young, probably a lot better for him because when he's on the offensive end, it's not as big of a guy guarding him. When he's on the defensive end, they're a little bit more similar to his style of play. So it's series to series, same way that you could make comments about having bigs, right? And when do you play them? When do you not? So I want what's best for the Raptors. Sometimes it seems like we're a little bit too blind or narrow sighted on just playing the guys that we probably should play, or, guys that are getting paid the most. DeMarre Carroll, whatever. Third quarter or fourth quarter of third game. This game, we had it figured out. The best players of this one had the ball in their hands most of the time. Yeah, we got the win.
No, for sure. And obviously the Fred stuff, it hasn't been too bad in the chat, actually. I thought we were going to have to do a lot of damage control. People say, Raptors are better without Fred. We're better with a healthy Fred, but you could probably make the argument this series, just given Maxey, all the stuff that we brought up. But The Siakam stuff, can that officially be shut down after this one, or will that continue?
It was never started, Ben.
It wasn't started by us.
We never started it. People can say what they want. They'll flip-flop on and off. We said it. It's not true. It's fake news that he's not the number one player on this team. He is. He put up those numbers in the regular season. He had 2 good games. He had 1 bad game. He's back.
Yeah, one brutal game, 1 like mid game, 2 solid games, and like 1 phenomenal game, 1 like solid game in the series. So that's tough, especially when you're the main guy, right? You and Fred are the 2 guys that have sort of been through the playoff tested stuff. All the expectations are on you guys going into the series. So that's a tough position.
Yeah, but too, you're being guarded by Tobias Harris, who's basically the same height, and then you're running into the help defense of Joel Embiid, and you have no centers that you can do drop-off passes to, right? There's no dump-offs because we just don't have any bigs that can catch and shoot or catch and dunk, right, in the lane. Because our guys, they're going to also have to then go up and challenge Joel Embiid at the rim. So it's a lot harder for Siakam. So you got to give him a little bit of credit in this series that it is challenging to score in the lane.
Yeah, this is a poor matchup for Siakam's just style game, and I think he's doing a good job with it. So that's a huge positive there. Getting Tobias Harris kind of fouled out. Five personals in the box score, but had him sook in there in the 4th quarter. I love going at the Sixers fan, being unleashed, ready to go. Matthew is saying Ryker was anti-Fred at the beginning of the season, and he was right. What do you have to say about that, sir?
Don't go saying I'm right too many times. My ego won't be able to take it. You'll be hearing too many wild takes in the off season. I'll be uncontrolled, right? The balance of this podcast is Ben is more often right than me. I just come out with some left field ideas from time to time. They usually don't hit. So
I come out with some left field ideas, but the Raptors has proven me right this year. I've had some wild ones though. I have some wild ones, but Bueno Kitty's always a believer. Believe Ben. #RapsIn7. Next game score prediction, Ryker. I don't know. Score predictions freak me out.
I'm too superstitious.
Yeah, I don't know. When I was a kiddo, I used to do the score predictions and stuff for our games. I do like personal. When I do like personal, I'm gonna drop 30 this game. I'd always have a trash game. Or you hear the stories of Michael Jordan being like, okay, I'm gonna put 38 on your head and then this. So 11-year-old yourself thinking you're MJ, right? You do that to some people and then you just come out with, rather than 40, you come out with like 6 on 2 of 20 shooting. So that's you and I are refraining from the score predictions. Tyson hits the score predictions on the Instagram, so check that out.
There you go, Ben. We're reaching the epic conclusion of this podcast, I would say, unless there's anything else you want to mention before we wrap it up.
Zane's asking Ben why? I think it goes for both of us. Would you like a Fred for Damian Lillard this offseason? If we can get it. If we can get Damian Lillard for Fred VanVleet, like, Fred is our leader. He's this, he's that. Damian Lillard's a top 70 guy of all time. So that's... Would you agree with that? Would you be anti-Dame?
No, but listen, that's so wild. That's so out there. We don't need to talk about that now. We're in playoff mode, baby.
Also, 1-800-LUNATIC. Ryker, how'd you get on CTV? What's the story there?
Ben and I email. That's the story. Just a good old email conversation. Shout out to CTV for hosting us.
They were looking for us. They were looking for Raptors Digest on the CTV. We tried to get on. I thought I was getting on pre-game 2? Game 2, yeah, because you hit game 3, and then they canceled like 5 minutes to go. It's a little bit chaotic there at CTV with how they're bringing people on, but then they asked for game 3. I was hooping at some basketball, so Ryker flew solo and killed it on there on the news. I watched it back.
Thank you. It's a blast.
Maybe get a career. Maybe we should get a Digest Media TV station, Ryker.
Yeah, let's do it.
Get it all rocking. You love to see that. But Bueno Kitty's saying CTV. Does that mean Raptors Digest go primetime?
I wish.
Primetime, Bueno Kitty. Primetime whenever you want it on YouTube, because that's the place to be. We're living in 2030, Ryker. We're getting there before these CTVs and all them. But folks, you guys are the best to make this far. But 1-800-LUNATIC is looking for a link. We should honestly give it a post. Give it a little story post or something. Like the full, because we got the full video or something.
Yeah,
They got it on CTV. Let's get that rocking. But folks, Ryker is a milky broadcaster from Frozen 9. Gotta throw out the milky broadcast out there. But wet like butter, wet like milk. Love to see it. Folks, you guys are the best for making it this far. Check out the Instagram, the Twitter, the TikTok, all that cool stuff. As everyone knows, Raps in 7. Use the bet stamp link down below. Get your best odds if you're doing any sports betting at all. Right, get those best odds as you see. But Ryker, we got one Philly fan saying y'all are going to Cancun after Monday. And nah. The Monday after, we're going down straight to Miami to knock out those Miami Heat. That's where we're going. Ryker, do you have any last words on this game, on this series, on this whatever's happening right now?
It doesn't matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop, Ben.
Cheers.